am now to phase 2 of the build. The server rack is complete over there, and I am going to build the server now. And before I begin, I guess I'll go over what I built, why I built it, how I built it. I think I'm into the server for about $900 with everything you see here. It's probably more along the lines of maybe $1050 because I've used some parts that I had in my closet already. And I'll point those out as I go, and there's some other parts that aren't on the table that'll get included in the server rack, when it gets more finalized. The reason being is, this was on a budget build. I'm not trying to build a high-end server. If you've seen some of my other builds, like Osiris's Ryzen 7 build, when I built that, was like a $2,200 computer, I want to say, like $2,200. It was a top 1% build in the entire world when I built it. It was also an AMD Ryzen platform when I made it. I love AMD's bang for the buck. But don't be wrong, Intel's got its place too, depending upon what you're building. But if I was building a top-of-the-line server with a certain purpose, then I would be building something different. But usually when I'm helping somebody out build a computer, I always ask them, what are you building it for? And then I try to stick within those constraints, so then that way they get what they expect out of it. It's a tool, it does a purpose. If it suits that purpose, then great. If you're trying to build a gaming PC, then this is what you want to build. If you're trying to build a workstation, this is what you want. If you're trying to build a merger, well, then this will do the jobs, and you can kind of pick and choose from there. So my purpose in this build was, it actually needed to suit multiple purposes, but it needed to be, like a workstation, server, host, and I wanted to do it on a budget. I don't need to buy like a 24 core or something crazy, Threadripper Epic, something like that. I just need one that'll have enough cores that'll get the job done with a little bit of future proofing baked in, and it'll last. And this is going to be running security cameras. It'll be running my unified cloud key for all my entire network. It'll also be running several other home automation applications. It'll also be using any kind of VPN software. It'll be tunneling through this guide when it's being done through the house. It's going to be running all my Wi-Fi. It's going to be running all the cameras. It'll be doing all the data storage for the location. So it needs to have a certain amount of beef, and a lot of that's determined by how many cameras you're going to have as well. So there's a lot of calculations I put into it to buy it. I'm not going to necessarily get into the nitty-gritty. But let's cover what I bought, why I bought it. So I got the Ryzen 5. It's 6 cores, 12 threads. Should be beastly enough. The Ryzen 7 that I have, the Ryzen 7 1800X, has 8 cores, 16 threads. So this is just a step down. Now, it's only 3.2 to 3.6 boost. I'm not putting on liquid. I'm not going to be overclocking or doing anything crazy like that. Now, my Ryzen 7 1800X, I steady clock that at 4.0 and just lock that in, and I put it on liquid. I'm happy as can be with that. But being that I'm putting it in a server build, and I want it to be energy efficient, I don't want to be paying, $150 a month in electricity costs for my server rack, and I'm already going to be paying some money in it. I was like, I don't need to have all the expense that I can. So this Ryzen 5 that I bought, it does come with the cooler included, so that'll make my life easier. Again, it was on a budget. So I got to buy the CPU and the cooler in one go, and I'm happy with that. And that saves me money. Now, I bought the Ryzen 5 1600X. Let's just make sure I'm not lying to you. Right, no, not X. I am lying. Ryzen 5 1600. And the reason why I got the 1600 was the price point. The 1600 was cheaper than the 1600X. It was also cheaper than the 2600. Now, I could have gone with the 2600 and had the GPU baked into it, and I love how my phone just turns on for some reason. But I didn't want, I could have, but then I would have had to get a different motherboard that would handle the newer Ryzen 2 series processors. I didn't want to worry about the BIOS having to need to be flashed on the motherboard before it would accept it. I just wanted it to all work out of the box. And the price point difference, to go with either of those would bump up the price. $30 here for the CPU, $30, to $40 for the motherboard. I was like, yeah, that's another $70, $80, $90 that I'm not trying to spend more money on. And I don't want to. So, I mean, the heart of the box is built around an A320M, which is a smaller motherboard. It's not the best motherboard in the world. I mean, I prefer B350s. Or something that usually gets the job done. But the problem is, again, those motherboards are, you know, $40, $50, $60 more, and then, you know, depends on what's available in the market, the price points. I got all of this, tried to get it all on sale, best that I could. But I did get the A320, mostly because it would fit this processor, and it doesn't have an M.2 slot on it, but it has plenty of SATA ports that are 6 gigabit per second, which does all the data storage that I want. It's got a 1 gigabit per second NIC card port on it, and if need be, for $15 tops more, I could buy another NIC card, because with all the camera inputs and the data moving across the network, I may need to buy another NIC card, and it's got, you know, the extra PCI slot that I can do that with. And being that I didn't spend the extra 60, you know, well, let's just say it would have been an extra $100 to have the APU built onto the CPU. So I don't have the GPU on the CPU, which sometimes also lose you more cores. I wanted more cores than I wanted cores to be used for graphics. I had to get a video card for that. But, you know, turn this around, make sure I'm not missing any of the major components that I wanted to talk about. Yeah, it's a smaller motherboard, but it'll still work. It'll still mount. It does have legacy video support, but I ain't going to use it. It's got the SATA ports. It's got USB 3.1, which is something I needed, which I'll cover why later. It's got plenty of SATA. It's got a couple extra PCIs just in case. It does have a PCI Express slot, but I'm not building this for video graphics. So I got this beast of a GT 7-pin card. I paid like $30 for it. And the only reason why I got it is so I can do video out to, you know, a KVM or just normal monitor, keyboard, mouse. And it's nothing crazy. I believe it's fanless too, which is another reason why I got it. With as much airflow that I'll have in this box with fans, etc. You know, a fanless video card that just gives me video out in multiple ways. I mean, it's HIDMI, DVI, VGA, whatever. I mean, it's got all of the above. So that's why I went with that. That's why I went with that. Then I wish, we'll get into the RAM. This is the cheapest RAM they had on sale, an 8 gigabit kit. I believe I paid like $45 for it. I wish I could have gotten 16 gigs of RAM in total. Now the motherboard only has 2 RAM slots, so if I upgrade, then I have to buy 2 8 gig sticks each, so 16 gigs of RAM. But that would have cost me like $100 something. Again, seriously increasing the cost of the server. I'm doing, you know, bang for buck. This may be in the long run a little bit of a choke point for this build. 16 gigabits may have been the way to go, especially being that I'm going to do some containers on a NICS environment and have this run, you know, where each soft wraps in its own container type thing. However, for the price for the bang for buck, this is the best I could do for that board and what's compatible with it. It's on the compatibility matrix and will work. I can't really complain for the price. And knowing that it's an A320 board, I'm not going to be overclocking it. I'm not overclocking the CPU. Giving it 16 gigs of RAM may not have really given me much benefit. But when it comes to virtualization with containers and stuff like that, Unix, the 16 gig might have been good. I got a 550 power supply. I wanted to get the 500, but I needed at least 550. There was one on sale for cheaper. I ended up paying a little bit more for this one because they ran out during the sales. But EVGA is a solid name brand. It's pretty much the power supply I go with everything. I believe this one might even be modular, which is why I paid more for it. I was going to go with a non-modular power supply. Yeah, fully modular. So, I mean, it's great that I got a modular power supply. I was willing to not go modular to save some bucks. But they ran out at that price point, and the other ones were kind of iffy, whereas EVGA, you know what you're getting. To the storage that will fit in it, and this is one of the pieces of hardware that I had in my closet. I've had a 120 gig solid state drive just sitting around in there for a while as a backup for an older box that I've even had. So this is an older solid state drive, fast read writes. This is just for the operating system. just to put the OS on, to put the images that are going to boot from the containers, and the systems that I'm going to set up for virtual, VM machine type stuff. And then everything else for data storage will actually be the actual data storage. And that's also why I kind of got the server as well. So this is, probably only now, I think I could find this online for 30, 40, bucks tops, probably 35, somewhere right in that range. Again, the motherboard doesn't have an M.2. I'm sure I could just got an M.2 drive for 30, 40 bucks. It'd be a little bit faster than this too. But then I'd be paying more for the motherboard and everything else that goes along with that. So when you jump up, you got to consider that it's not just the price for that you're paying. Well, if you're going to go with a better motherboard, well, that's 40, 50 bucks for a better motherboard. Well, then why not get a better CPU? Why not pay for a little bit more on the RAM? Why not pay for a little bit more on the video? It's all, you got to weigh all that. So to me, I went with a lower end just to keep my price point, about $1,000. I think, like I said again, I paid $900. So that's the solid state drive there. And I'll get into the other drive here in a minute. Then I've got the 3 terabyte purple drive right here. This is for all the video cam recording. Purple drives are made specifically for security systems in particular. So there's this drive. And then I've got an 8 terabyte, I believe, Seagate drive right here, but this is an internal SATA 6 gigabit per second, just like this purple is. This is it's not a Western Digital Black, which is what I was kind of wanting to get, but it is an 8 terabyte made for storage. It's not NAS quality, I don't think, but it'll do the job for the price I had to pay for it. 8 terabyte internal SATA, get 6 gig per second. It's a very nice drive. I mean, if I look, it may be Seagate, I believe. Real quick, does it say on it? No, I'm not finding it on it right now, but I believe it was Seagate. Either way, that's a little harder to find in that size of a drive, but that's going to be the main data storage drive. Then I have an 8 terabyte external Seagate expansion drive that I can keep powered off and unplugged from the server for all backup. So anything that I'm actually going to keep, like, oh, some guy was poking around on my property, I don't know what he was doing there, didn't take anything, I'm going to keep that video. Back it up, whatever I'm going to keep on there, I'll back up to here offline. And then I can unplug it. So if I get hit with a virus is only going to hit my live data, it won't hit my offline data. That's why it's great to have offline backups. This is my backup solution. This only costs like $130 for an 8 terabyte external expansion. And so what I always tell all my friends is if you're going to do any kind of data storage, like, oh, I want to keep all my photos and I got all my videos of my kids, great. That's awesome. Go buy 2 of these. You can plug one into your network and keep it always on, put all your data on it, and keep it live, and then once every couple months, plug another one of these in, back everything up to it, and unplug it and put it in your safe. That way you'll never lose your data. There you go. Now, second to last but not least is the Tableau device. So before I hit that, the Tableau device has a 4 terabyte hard drive it has behind it that you'll plug into it, and that's another place where I've saved some money that you're not going to maybe see in the link down below of how I built all this. Kind of like where I was saying I saved money on this because I already had it. I have 4 terabyte drives, externals that I already have that I'm just going to reuse on this. Once I transfer that data, let's say to the 8 terabyte drive I have here internally on this server. So what does the Tableau do? The Tableau is an over-the-air DVR for cord cutters. Somebody like myself, I no longer have satellite TV. I no longer can DVR, anything over-the-air broadcast. You either catch it live or you miss it. So if I want to watch, say, a Dallas Cowboy football game, and I have to work or something like that, or maybe I like a show that comes on Monday through Friday or only on Saturdays and Sundays, this thing's great. It has a TV guide built into it. It goes out and downloads everything from every station, from the antenna you can receive from. You got to tell it which one it's going to be. You download all of that. You can connect up the drive. You configure it so it's accessible over your network through a web page or through the server, etc. And then you can tell it, hey, I want to record this show, only new episodes or old episodes, just like a DVR. And then what makes that great is you can play it back and delete it at any point in time. And 4 terabytes is a ton of DVR storage space. It also allows 4 threads coming off of it. So that's either 4 people watching it at once, or 4 recordings at once, or it makes a match 2 recording, 2 watching. I think that should be sufficient, you know, for a home if you share properly. And also, with the amount of bandwidth that I have, which I misstated earlier, I have 1 gigabit down, 100 megabits per second up, I believe. Or it'll be 50 megabits per second up, but not kilobits. So, misspoke. Either way, with that kind of data and my ability to configure and set up this server, I can remote into the server, hit the Tablo device from a hotel if I miss my show, and watch it remotely from a tablet or anything like that. It'll be really nice to be able to see live broadcast TV again. I haven't really watched much of it, and other family members will appreciate that. Then last on the list here is the Roswell 19-inch rack server. If you drop down the front, like I said before, it's got 2 fans on the front. They're going to do a lot of airflow through the unit with the lid on it. 2 USB 3.1s, I believe. I'll have to look at it to confirm. Power button, reset button, 3 hard drive bays that are accessible from the front. And if I pop off the lid here, I just might as well leave that well out of the way. And pull this out. Let's move these screws over to here. It also comes with, yep, that's what I thought. So it comes with 8 quick, easy, removable, remountable hard drive brackets baked into the unit. So, I mean, that's 8 behind the 2 fans, and then these are more just IDE brackets, actually. They're not hard drive bay brackets. So, I mean, I could really fit a lot. I mean, I fit 8 hard drives in there for data storage or whatever, and I mean, if I'm going to be doing any kind of film recording in this data storage, I'm going to probably end up buying a whole lot more of these 8 terabyte hard drives as time goes on. Plus, there's 2 fans in the rear. Place them out your power supply, plenty of PCI expansion. So if time goes on and this guy doesn't do the job anymore, or I somehow find a motherboard that accepts 2 of these CPUs or whatever, either way, I can upgrade this unit, I can expand upon it. It's got future proofing baked into it. I mean, it's not purely made for data storage or server crunching, but it lets me go in both directions, and it's scalable up. I can take it up even further. For a small price point to boost it up, I can upgrade it as needed versus just trying to do a data storage shelf. And I could always just connect a data storage shelf if I needed to it, or versus just trying to go CPU crunch power. It gives me both in a server. So with all that being covered, I think I'm going to start building. Cue the music! mentioned before, fanless video card. It's got a nice heavy heat sink on there. I mean, it's got some beefy weight to it. It was only 30 bucks, but this should be a pretty decent video card. Oh, drivers that are compatible with Ubuntu or Unix in general, so I shouldn't have any issues with that. Sorry the video cut out. Made it to the wiring phases. I got all 3 hard drives in it now. I'm pretty sure you saw the first hard drive. If you saw that, then they're pretty much all the same because they've got hard drive quick release carriers. So, bada bang, that's it. They come in, they come out. You know, so the 3 terabyte Western Digital Purple for the DVR of the, or for the NVR, the video recording equipment, 8 terabyte data storage. And then this one I just want to show off because I found it very funny. I probably have a bracket somewhere for it. This is a half size one, like 2.5 inch to the 3.5 inch hard drive that's on there, the 120 gig solid state drive. I probably got a bracket, like I said, somewhere for it, but I can't really find it at the moment, and I'm not going to really worry about looking for it. And so, handyman's secret weapon, a little bit of duct tape. It sits on the bracket just fine. I ain't going to hurt it none. You know, so the women don't find you handsome, at least they can find you handy. Thank you, Red Green. And there you go. So I'm on to wiring. server build is done. It's not tested yet, so I don't know that I'm really done. But bending over this box and messing with it. I mean, I'm done with it. The wiring's all done. I'll test it here in a bit. I gotta pull out, keyboard, mouse, and all of that jazz too. But I figured I'd turn it sideways so you can get a look at it all put together. I still got to do some cable management. If it fires up, if I can get it to post, then I'll harness up all the wiring and get that completed. But I mean, it's got plenty of space, you can see. I mean, it's only got 3 out of the 8 bays filled. I don't have any of the IDE bays filled. The power supply's to the max. I mean, this will be utilized to its max, and I don't know how well you can see it with this camera at this distance, but there you go. I'll let you know the results. Welcome back. I thought I'd let you get my first initial reaction and impressions to find out if this guy's going to boot the first time off, whether, A, I did a good job on the build, and B, whether I'm lucky in all the components being, quality components and working. Because a lot of times, on a build that's complete like this, you're going to get some sort of bad component that you end up having to troubleshoot. So I have the latest Ubuntu on here. So I can test out all the USB ports as well, but for now I'm just going to kick one off the motherboard just to make sure that, at least, it'll post, because that's all I'm going to do. I mean, anything after post is none of your business. How I set that up, that security needs to remain private, of course. But, I just figured, hey, will it post? Because if it will post, then I still got some more work I got to do. I need to clean up all the cable management and tie it all up. And, pretty much need to do the cable management and all that. So, without further ado, I've got one last cable to plug in and run over there. Hopefully it reaches, and we can turn this guy on and find out if the magic smoke escapes or not. Hopefully not. That would be devastating if it doesn't. Here, let's try and make a little space. Power strip. Okay. Power strip is, I believe, on. I got power there. Alright. Well, that magic moment. Power on. No signal to the monitor, but I'm not seeing, let's see. I don't know if there are any lights on the motherboard. Not seeing any lights on the motherboard. I'm not seeing any lights on my power supply. Well now, that's unfortunate. Yeah, best I can tell, the power supply's not getting any power. Bad power cable, but... well, power supply has power. There's no lights. It's so cheap. Power supply motherboard don't have lights on it. Alright, now the motherboard's got lights on it. Guess you just have to hit the power button. Well, let's turn it on. See if it'll kick the monitor back on or not. Okay. Kick the monitor back on. CPU fan is spinning. I hear hard drive spinning. Hey, there you go. Ryzen 5 1600 6 core. It sees the RAM. Sees all 3 hard drives. Let's get into setup. So there you go. It does see it all. Now, I don't know if you
can see this or not without any glare, but it does see the CPU. Does see the memory, sees all 8 gigs. Storage, it sees all 3 hard drives, and it sees them at the correct sizes as well. 3 terabyte, 8 terabyte, 120 gig. And last time I reboot it, looks like all my wiring's right then. And I didn't hit reset switch, but if the power switch is working, I'm pretty sure the reset switch is going to as well. There's the MSI screen. And that's my laundry, because of course I've got to get a lot more work done here to get my house ready to move in. Okay, that's twice it said. There we go, Ubuntu. So, I'm ready to install. I think that concludes the server build. I will, next time you see it here, because I'm going to wrap this up here, close this off, get all the cabling done, bundle that up, and then I'm going to install Ubuntu on here. In fact, I may install a different version of what I've currently got right here. It's just to test it. And then I'm going to get it in the rack, and then the next one you see me is I will be installing all the network gear in the rack and going over all of that. Maybe I do that tonight, maybe I don't. I don't know, we'll see. I doubt it. But you never know. So cheerio.